Alright guys, so today we're going to be comparing the KRM, the brecci, the haymaker, and the Argus to see what truly is the best shotgun in Black Ops 3 Zombies. So, this video is basically just going to be divided into about 4 or 5 parts, and each of them are going to talk about each shotgun. For the first one, we're going to be talking about maneuverability and how mobile the shotgun actually is. Alrighty, so we're starting off with the brecci, which is honestly a super lightweight shotgun that you can use to kind of mow down a couple zombies if they get in your way. It's a semi-automatic shotgun, so you don't have to worry about anything like stopping after every shot like you do with something like the KRM to reload every shot. If you're running up to a barricade, honestly, you can hip fire and it'll kill a few zombies that way, so you don't have to worry about aiming in too much like you would with something like the Argus. So it would honestly be fair to say that the brecci has a high maneuverability. Now, moving on to the haymaker, honestly the haymaker is equal, I'd say, to the brecci in maneuverability, or even higher possibly, because you can run up to barricades in full auto without even really thinking too much about it. You can run at the exact same speed as you can with the brecci, and this actually ties the brecci and the haymaker for both having high mobility. Now moving on to the Argus, it's going to be another issue because the Argus, like the haymaker and the brecci, also has super high mobility, so you can run with it super fast and deal with zombies coming out of windows. The only issue that you might have with the Argus, honestly, is if you're going to hip fire, you might not hit things as well as you would with the brecci or the haymaker out of barricades, because the Argus has slugs instead of like a spread shot. But having said that, with the Argus, the only other thing is that the accuracy on the Argus is actually huge, so if you do take the time to actually aim in with the ADS, you will get your money's worth. Like, you will kill all the zombies that are near that barricade if you actually take the time to aim in and hit those slug shots, because the accuracy is the highest in the class. So unfortunately, that leaves us with a 3-way tie so far, having the Argus and the haymaker and the brecci all having high mobility. Moving on to the KRM, however, the KRM is a little bit heavier, so it will have medium mobility instead of high, which places the Argus, the haymaker, and the brecci a little bit ahead of the KRM, because it is a little bit easier to run with those three. So the next section that we're going to be going over with all the shotguns is the damage section. So the strong shotgun in the whole section, you might be surprised to find out, is actually the Argus. So when you aim down the sight and actually do take the time to take the shot, it honestly is the most powerful shotgun blast in the whole game. A close second, however, is the KRM. So if you don't have time for the Argus and you kind of want something that's a tiny bit faster in fire rate than the Argus, go for the KRM, because it will give you a little bit more damage than the brecci or the haymaker, but a little bit less than the Argus if you take the time to aim in with the Argus. A little bit lower than the KRM is the brecci, which has the 3rd most damage in the shotgun class. It's still quite a bit, considering that the semi-automatic shots they still go out in a pretty timely fashion. They're still pretty fast in fire rate. And lastly, 4th, the haymaker. The haymaker's damage is lacking a little bit, but what it makes up for is the fire rate, being a fully auto shotgun, so you'd expect it to be a little bit lower in the damage. Alright, so the next kind of category we're going to be looking at is reload time for each shotgun and the magazine size of each shotgun. So, starting off with reload time, the slowest reload is definitely on the KRM, and it's by a long shot. The KRM takes a while to reload, however, if you do pack-a-punch it, it gets significantly faster reloading at 4 bullets at a time, I believe. The Argus and the brecci, I recall, reload at a very similar rate, with the haymaker reloading the fastest. So when you're talking about the magazine size of each shotgun, the KRM can hold 8 bullets in a mag, the Argus 10 bullets in a mag, the brecci 12, and the haymaker 16. This all comes into factor what the fire rate of each shotgun is, so it would figure that the haymaker would have the most at 16 and the brecci would have you know, 12, and that the Argus and the KRM would have less, having more damage and more of a kind of bolt action fire to them. Anyways, having said all of this, it's clear that the Haymaker gets the first position on this particular evaluation of mag size and reload speed, just because it placed third in both areas, having a mag size of 16 and a super fast reload speed. Next up would probably be the Brecci, because it has more ammo than the Argus, even though they tested about the same for reload speed, so it would be the Brecci, and then third would be the Argus. And then last here would obviously be the KRM, seeing as it has the lowest magazine size and the slowest load rate, even though it is faster when it's PAP. We aren't really evaluating PAP yet, we will in one of the next sections. Alright, so next guys we're going to be evaluating the recoil and availability of the Brecci, Argus, Haymaker, and KRM. And as for recoil, it's funny because the KRM and the Argus are going to be the highest in recoil, having moderate recoil, and then the Haymaker and the Brecci having a very low to no recoil, especially the Brecci. So there I'd have to say that it's tied for first and second. So first would be Haymaker and Brecci, and then second would be Argus and KRM. As for ability, one of the errors out there is I'm talking about, is it only available in the box or is it available on the wall too? For this one, the KRM is definitely going to have to take the first lead, seeing as it's on almost every Chronicle map and it's on almost every Black Ops 3 map as a wall buy. In second place, the Argus is on Zetsubo no Shima on the wall, and I don't believe that the Brecci and the Haymaker are on the wall in any zombies map in Black Ops 3. I'm wrong if I'm wrong in the comments, but so that means I'm going to have to rank them as the KRM being first in availability, the Argus being second, and the Haymaker and the Brecci being tied for third in availability, seeing as you can only get those out of the box. Okay. Alright, so the next section we're going to be talking pack punch upgrade and the severity of which it affects the weapon's performance. So first of all, starting off with the KRM, the 8 meg and 48 capacity turns into a 16 magazine with a 64 capacity, and it does nearly 3 times as much damage as it used to do, with a much faster fire rate than the default weapon has. Now this upgrade is humongous. My friend is the KRM upgraded is like the KRM steroids, and it kills. It shoots so fast. It's like you're shooting a machine gun basically. The ammo count isn't too great, except in the magazine it's double, which is great, but the capacity isn't too great. The times is insane, especially with double tap 2.0. So the KRM gets a huge upgrade, and it turns it into a beast of a weapon. Alright, now moving on to the Argus, guys, and the Pack-a-Punch upgrade on the Argus. It turns a 10 meg and a 60 capacity into a 32 magazine, 96 capacity weapon, which is insane. Increases the mag capacity by 3.2, which is nuts. And it deals 3 to 4 times the amount of damage that the default weapon deals, which is a little bit more than the KRM deals. And it has a faster fire rate, but I wouldn't say it has a fast fire rate as much as the KRM. But it's definitely a good upgrade, especially with the magazine size increasing 3.2 times. That's crazy. So the Haymaker has a 16 with magazine with a 64 capacity. And upgraded, it has a 25 magazine with an 125 capacity. So although the magazine only increases by 9 bullets, the capacity still increases by more than 2 times, so that's pretty impressive. The fire rate is a lot faster, being kind of like it's on double tap 2.0, and then if you get double tap 2.0 with the Haymaker PAP, it becomes basically a machine gun, obliterating anything in front of you. And the damage increase is 2 to 3 times as much damage as the default weapon. and it makes it into basically a meat grind of a weapon. You run up to a horde and you hold down the trigger, and they will all evaporate until like round 35 around. So guys, unfortunately the last shotgun we have to talk about with the upgrade is unfortunately also the most underwhelming and the worst upgrade of all of them. That would be to the brecci. The default mag is 12 and the capacity is 108. When upgraded, it has a 24 meg and an 120 capacity in whole. Now, the magazine does increase by 2, which is good, same as the KRM, but the capacity only increases by 12, which is honestly a bit pathetic when you think about it. How are you supposed to like upgrade a weapon and get a lot more ammo if the capacity stays the same but the mag increases by 2? Honestly, it'll just run out of ammo a bit quicker too. Considering that the fire rate slightly increases as well, you'll just be running out of ammo twice as quickly. Unfortunately also, the damage increase is less than 2 times as much, whereas the stuff like the Argus and the KRM has been increasing by 3 to 4 times. This is not even 2 times as much damage as the default weapon, which is really unfortunate to hear. And that earns it the last place on this ranking, at least.
He was blackmailing me. I couldn't let him ruin my one chance at the big time.
Now, in this evaluation, the Argus is clearly first, coming in at the top of this evaluation because of the tremendous mag size increase and because of the 3 to 4 times damage output, which is pretty insane. In second place, we have the KRM's upgrade, which is honestly insane. It makes it into kind of a rapid fire shotgun, which is great, and the mag size increases by 2, which is also great. The damage output increases by 3 times, also great. So that's a clear second, if not tied with first, probably a second though, because of the Argus mag increase, which is nuts, 3.2 again, right? In third is the Haymaker, which is a pretty good upgrade, not amazing, not as good as the KRM or the Argus obviously, but it's a good upgrade because of the mag size and because of the damage output, which I think is 2 times, which is decent but not great. And then obviously last, I already mentioned the brecci is severely underwhelming when it comes to the pack-a-punch upgrade, so that's where we stand for the last evaluation, and then I'm going to tell you guys in a minute which one won the overall challenge and what shotgun you should use the most in Call of Duty Zombies Black Ops 3 from now on.